Hi, this is Ed back again with another video from the Outer Light channel on the Hive blockchain as we get into 80% of people have symptoms. From what? Well, let's get into it in this video, but before I do, just pointing out yesterday I did have another supporter video, news from Mirror World, a roundup of all those crazy stories happening all over the place today. You can always check that out, of course, on Subscribestar and Patreon. And if you want to become a supporter of my fully demonetized channel, at least on YouTube, you can always do that at subscribestar.com/theouterlight, patreon.com/theouterdark. And I will have another supporter video coming tomorrow. So let's just really get right into it here. So this clip, to me, says it all. Okay, you can go so far from this clip. Here was what Free Zero Hedge stated. By the way, they gave back the Twitter account to Zero Hedge after months. I don't believe they ever explained why they removed it. Bill Gates confronted about widespread vaccine side effects. So the vaccine oligarch there, Bill, expressed apathy in a CBS interview about the fact that his vaccine, which the National Institute of Health has a financial stake in, is testing horribly in vaccine trials. How bad? 80% of the people that took it in the trial had side effects. Let's listen to the video here and I'll be back afterwards.
The Moderna vaccine sound concerning. We looked. After the second dose, at least 80% of participants experienced a systemic side effect, ranging from severe chills to fevers. So, are these vaccines safe?
Well, the FDA, not being pressured, will look hard at that. The FDA is the gold standard of regulators. And their current guidance on this, if they stick with that, is very, very appropriate. And you know, the side effects were not super severe. That is, it didn't cause permanent health problems for the things there. Moderna did have to go with a fairly high dose, and so. To get the antibodies. Some of the other vaccines are able to go with lower doses to get responses that are pretty high, including the J&J and the Pfizer. And so there's a lot of characteristics of these vaccines. It's great that we have multiple of them that are going out there. And yes, I think
you know the data better than I do, but the data showed that everybody with a high dose had a side effect.
Yeah, but some of that is not dramatic, where it's just super painful. But yes, we need to make sure there's not severe side effects. The FDA, I think, will do a good job of that, despite the pressure.
How many doses of the vaccine will we need?
Well, none of the vaccines at this point appear like they'll work with a single dose. That was the hope at the very beginning. Maybe one of them, particularly in the second generation, won't surprise us. We hope just two, although in the elderly, sometimes it takes more. And so making sure we have lots of elderly people in the trial will give us that data.
You've said some more than the Moderna vaccine sound concerning.
So, the elderly will need multiple doses. He states that there is no permanent health problems. Of course, that is ludicrous. You can't prove that. That would involve another massive study for each and every single health effect that happened from the vaccine, which causes, it's so insane, it's comical, 80% of people that take it have a side effect. 80%, that's 8 out of 10 people vaccinated have some type of side effect of this vaccine, which the National Institute of Health there has a massive financial stake in. I've already gone into those types of things before. In fact, Fauci, for example, has numerous patents. All these people directly profiting from this so-called epidemic. Multiple doses of a vaccine that could give you massive side effects, or 80% of people have side effects when taking it. And then they want to make vaccines mandatory. How many of the people that get side effects from these particular vaccines are going to end up deathly ill, then spend the rest of their lives fighting for some kind of compensation from some shadow compensation group, such as those in the US, which have handed out billions of dollars after people fought tooth and nail in court in regarding vaccine injury? Look, you have to make sure that something's safe before you take it. There's no doubt about that if you choose to take it. The thing about it is that it's the institution, it's the people associated with the construction of something which shows you what it becomes or how safe it is. For instance, if there was some utopia island of Atlanteans, you know, some fictional island that were all about truth and rigorous studies and there was no corruption, then sure. If they gave you a drug and said, hey, this is going to heal you, people would probably take it because you trust them. Maybe rightfully so, because in this fictional world there's no corruption. It's completely different than people like Bill Gates, of course, who you know via their historical record and the way they run companies as one of the most untrustworthy, immoral people that you could probably find. Just completely immoral. Hiding spyware. Remember back in the late 90s, you check your index.dat file on Windows 98 and you can read people's emails that they've deleted. People forget about that one, as well as the spying which Windows 10 does. All of its inking data, recording your keystrokes. You know, everything that he's created is a dystopia or some kind of like immoral behavior associated with it. Bill Gates, 80%, and he's been trusted with all these overseen, or his own vaccine, I should state, and its development. So it's going to be the most hyper-aggressive, well-connected individuals that have a vaccine that are going to have their vaccine approved because they have those connections. Bill Gates' science advisor, of course, was the executor of Jeffrey Epstein's estate. Was named as the executor. Look it up. It's mainstream news. I talked about it the other day. That one came out last year after Epstein's death, when the individual named as the executor, that's his science advisor to Bill Gates, when he was named, said, I don't know why I'm on the form. Why would someone hand the control over a $500 million estate to me? It's a mystery. These people. I thought I'd end out on this. For example, let me know what you think of those. Well, the 80%. 80%. The strange thing about this and why we live in mirror world is if the vaccine has an 80% side effect rate and you say to someone at the coffee shop, I'm not taking that vaccine, they look at you like you're insane. Like you're the one that has a mental problem. Because the propaganda has been so cemented in people's minds that if you do not decide to take a medication, that's what it is, a medication. If you decide not to take a medication that you do not know the provenance behind, you're the one that's got a problem. Think of how much money has been poured into the propaganda field by the pharmaceutical cartels and how much they could have control in order to shape society's consciousness in that way. If you don't take the medication, not only do you have a problem, but you have all kinds of people surrounding you pointing fingers at you, some kind of red letter, or some kind of witch trials, like in Salem or something, pointing the finger at you because they're interpreting you as some kind of warlock. You are the warlock today. You're the warlock, even though literally you're not the warlock, okay? They're the warlock. They're being controlled by the craft. Psychological tactics, advanced propaganda, all of these efforts in order to make this kind of very strange, unreal environment. 80% side effects. You better take your vaccine, better line up in a well-organized line. Here's a classic I want to read you, and this just really says it all. These are the kinds of people running things. Casey Newton, who's he? He's in the interface with Casey Newton. He talks about tech, democracy, and the pandemic. Subscribe to the interface at The Verge. Look at that look, by the way. That look says, I know so much more than you do. Okay? I know so much more than you do. Look at me. I'm important. Well, he said on Twitter, here's a real classic for the archives. Here are your architects of Mirror World. These are the people that in Nazi Germany would be running around with the brown coats on. Asked Facebook, he goes, I asked Facebook about the bad viral, and this is basically chloroquine, or the video there, remember that? I don't even know which video they're banning. Which video is that they're banning? Because they've banned all of them. So the chloroquine video and why it got 20 million plus views. He said he was holding Facebook accountable. He's saying, why did it get 20 million views? How's that possible? He said, why did it get 20 million views before being removed? He's saying, how come you did not remove it before it got 20 million views? Look at his face. He knows so much. Look at those eyes. Slight squint because the knowledge that's been projected that he's got in his mind is too bright to open his eyes fully for a photograph. Have to squint slightly. The company says it took longer than it should have. It took longer. It's like an episode of The Muppet Show. Okay? Facebook was saying, oh my God, and we're so sorry it took so long. It took longer than it should have. And they will undertake a review. Thanks for pointing that out, Casey. By the way, this is should probably be the new librarian of the great Library of Alexandria. Okay, because the field of knowledge that they have. Actually, this is the equivalent of burning down books in the Library of Alexandria, basically, because you're burning information. You're vaporizing it. And they're the virtuous ones. And then someone down the bottom here, Kathy L, states, I've reported it 3 times today. People are still posting it on Facebook. Danger, Will Robinson. Okay. Danger. Someone has a different perspective. You have to get away from these platforms, okay? But I understand why people stay on them. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I think I'm becoming bitter. Am I becoming bitter these days? Probably. Probably need to car wash my brain. I don't know. You know, it just is what it is. 2020. It's a hell of a year. So people are talking about this and regarding Kamala Harris because on Politico it seemed to have a pre-article saying that she has been chosen as Joe Biden's running mate for the 2020 election on August the 1st. So was her name going to come out? Well, there is something. And regarding these types of things, what these places do is they write an article for Kamala Harris, then they'll write an article for someone else and someone else and someone else. The top contenders who might be chosen by Joe Biden. That way they can just splash them out immediately the moment it happens. Or, well, that's one perspective, that's actually what they do. And another one is, maybe it is Kamala Harris. Maybe the script's already been written. What election? Ask yourself, what election? Is Joe Biden really running an election? I don't see him out talking or campaigning or doing anything. He's literally sitting in his basement somewhere. Oh, sure, he had an interview, a social distance interview there with Barack Obama. Whole entire thing lasted 15 minutes. They probably cut out about 3 hours of all kinds of things that Joe Biden said that didn't make any sense. That's why it condensed down to 15 minutes. But whatever the case, the election in the United States is in 3 months. Where's the campaigning? You see Donald Trump's campaigning. Where's the campaigning from Joe Biden? There isn't any. He's not in daily on interviews or walking in front of, I don't know, things, talking about things. Now, here's me riding in a car, an F1 racing car. Here's me riding on like a Ferris wheel. Here's me talking to the average Joe plumber. Here's me talking to some coal miner. Here's me talking to someone that owns a tech company, saying how I can fix everything. What campaign? There isn't one. But that's because it's 2020. Okay? In the meantime, though, of course, go out, do your own research, decide for yourselves. 80%. It's a hell of a vaccine. I keep getting those flashbacks to the Dave Chappelle skit. That's why I say it, but it doesn't quite work when I say it. You know, 80%. Vaccines, or what should it be? I don't know the name of the Bill Gates vaccine. Is a hell of a drug. See, I don't have a sense of humour. Not a good one. I don't know how to have a sense of humour these days. In the meantime, go and do your own research, decide for yourselves. Of course, tomorrow I have another supporter video. This is Ed from the Ally channel. Stay safe, and I'll see you all later.